guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. A great big shout out to my channel members for supporting my channel. Thank you. All right, so I wanted to do a flip through with you guys of my 2023 reading journal. I do have a video up on a flip through of my 2022. Before we actually get into this, let me just show you. This is my December spread completed. When I did that video, this one was still blank. And then for my completed books for 2022, I ended up reading 231 books. Again, I've talked about the volume in that one. And what I did was just add another tip in. Again, I didn't realize the volume that I'd be doing. And so this is something that hopefully I'll be able to alleviate. And that's why I wanted to show you for 2023. I do have it tabbed out on where it begins. Right now, this is going to warehouse 3 years of my reading journal. At the end of 2023, I'll see how many pages I have left. You can see the pages right there. There's quite a few of them. This is my A5 MaiseLane Co dot grid journal. I don't believe that they are doing dot grid journals anymore, but any A5 journal would work for this. And then the glare is probably insane, but I do like to cover all of my journals with plastic covering just to keep it pristine. Now, the quote that I chose to kind of intro into 2023 isn't about books specifically, but it is from one of my favorite books of 2022, which was Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. That was the very first book that I've read from her. And this is a quote that is from Lehaba. She's a tiny little sprite pixie. And that whole scene where this is happening is just one of my favorites, if, not pretty gut-wrenching. But it says, "Let the world know that my first act of freedom was to protect my friends." And again, if you've read it, you know exactly what I mean. And while my 2022 annual pages definitely lent more towards like a dark garden, a poisoned garden vibe, I did want to do something simpler and something lighter. So for me, it's kind of more like cottagecore esque in nature, and it's definitely more simplistic, because while I love what my spreads look like for the monthly section, I realized that it actually took away from some of the function, because I did do this retroactively. I didn't even start this until midway of 2022, but that did help me figure out things that I wanted for 2023. Now, this right here seemed great in concept until I started doing it. And seriously, this was a couple of hours where I just basically hated my life. So the shelves here are done with wood-grained washi tape. So I thought, oh my God, Johanna, you're such a genius. So easy, so simple, right? And then I used a stamp that I had picked up from Amazon, which is this one right here and this one right here. And unlike what I did in 2022, this right here, with the days red, where I thought I was so clever because I knew when I had set this up that I had not missed a lot of days, that let me just do something in black and only just white out the pages or white out the days that I did not read. Well, that looks so lame to me. I mean, that's all days that I've read. So what it means is very cool, but the visual of it is not. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to stamp a book for every day of the year. And won't that look good at the end of the year? Because basically, any book that's still left as white is a day that I missed. Well, that's a great idea until you're actually doing it. And I didn't do the math. And so I had set up this here. I'd already moved on to this right here and set up some pages. And then I started stamping. And then it's like, oh, wait, 365 days is almost 400 days, which is nearly 500 days, which is nearly 1,000. And oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Like here, there was a mistake, and you know what? I'm just going to leave it. So where this became problematic was counting again and again and again. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm just going to number it. And then by the time you've counted, several hundred of these tiny little books, and then numbered several hundred tiny of these books and realized, yeah, I don't have enough books on these shelves, then it just became one of those, okay, do I just glue these pages together because I really hate my life at this point? Or am I just going to lean into my stubbornness and just keep at it? Now, I'm hoping that I didn't miss a number, but at this point, I don't even care. Now, if you might be wondering, I am filming this on January 16th. I have not filled anything in. I have read all the way through the month so far. And this is something that I don't plan on getting into, albeit maybe once a month, once I have all of the information, because I do actually track this in my Hobonichi Weeks Everyday Carry, because I always have that with me. So this is definitely more of a deco art project for me than having to come in here every single day or every single week just to keep it up, because I do have that information someplace else. I chose these 3 colors. These 3 colors do not mean anything. It's not like audio, ebook, or physical book. It just is 3 colors that I thought the shelves would look nice with. That's it. That's the entire process. So at the end of the year, I'm hoping that there are no books left in white, but if there are, there are. And I might enjoy that at the end of the year, but I know that the setup was just so heinous that I don't know that I would do this again. Again, I guess it just really depends on the visual once I do my year-end review and just see, okay, was all of that pain worth it? We'll see. Oh, and these colors are colors of Tombos that I have on my shelf. So this is my reading corner, and that's basically just a continuation of this. I have yet to decide whether I want to continue to do this in black and white, or if I actually want to do it in color. I do all of my book covers in Canva, and so it probably is going to depend on what the covers look like, because I do like that this makes it look cohesive, although the black and white doesn't really fit into the theme. Some of the books I read, the book covers are really dark, some are really light, and I don't know if I'd like that, especially because I can get some of those feels in other places. And so because I wanted to just do the reading corner once, I did do quite a few Dutch doors, and so this should be enough, although like in the other section, I can always tip in additional pages if need be. And I do plan on keeping the same size of that. If you are interested in the size that I used, let me know. I actually need to print the rest of these, but I think I'll do that once I've gotten all of my books for January, because again, I'm probably leaning towards the black and white, and then I can just print it out on one sheet. This I realized I really enjoy, because I do want to have one place where I kind of archive all of the books that I've read. And I'm going to tell you right now, 98% of the books that I'm reading are on my Kindle, and probably a good 90% of those are via Kindle Unlimited. So I feel like I really get my money's worth on that monthly subscription. Now, when I did this last year, I did like seeing the stacks of books, but I realized, having done this, that while I like seeing it, it really has no value to me. So I did not carry that over, but I do like seeing this. Now for this year, I do have 252 spots, and that's 20 more books than I read in 2022. Although if need be, I can renumber these, and in fact I should have left this blank and then tip in another page, because I can consume a lot of books by the way that I read them. And so book title, author, rating, and when I finished it. And this, again, I'll be updating on a monthly basis, just kind of taking the information that I put in my Hobonichi Weeks and moving it to here, because my Hobonichi Weeks is my all-in-one everyday carry, but I don't plan to archive that more than a year. This one I plan to have for several years, if not infinity, just because it's going to be my long-term reading journal reference journal. So that's what I've done for this. And then this is my how I rate the books, just so it reminds me here. I do a rating on Amazon that corresponds to this, but this is really, if it's a 5-star, not only did I love it, not only would I recommend it, but I cannot wait to read it. My 4-star is definitely going to be a reread, but it's lower on the reread priority. Loved it, would recommend it. My 3-star is sort of like, I enjoyed the story for what it was. It definitely didn't feel like I was wasting my time reading it, but it's not something I'd probably reread. And if I were going to recommend it, I would certainly give some caveats. And then a 2-star, which is the lowest star that I'll give anything, is I read about the first 30% of the book. I read the end. Didn't feel the need to kind of read any more or any more of the series. A 1-star to me is a DNF, and I don't mark that anywhere. I don't track my DNFs, and I don't give anything 1 stars, because if you can't hold my interest, or if I just think this is a waste of my time, I've got other hobbies that I can do. And then this right here just kind of reminds me of what this means. Living rent-free means I loved the book, I loved the story, I loved the characters, and it's just living rent-free in my head. Now, I did cover this up. My friend Andy over at Books and Scribbles is doing a year-long Patreon reading challenge, and I actually filled out the first month. So the first month prompts, she has 2 a month, is start a new series and read a book by a new to you author or a debut novel. I actually forgot about filming this before I wrote those down, but I did start the Extraordinaries series by TJ Klune because we have a buddy read in February on book 3, and then our Patreon group read is When Gracie Met the Grump by Mariana Zapata, and so I've already written that down. And what I plan to do is I'll write the books here just to remind me, and then here I'm going to print the book covers and then do just a little synopsis. And there are 6 spots here. And there are 6 spots here to correspond for the year. Now I'll give you a sneak peek for February. So the 2 prompts for February are read a book you meant to read in 2022, or read a 2023 and or read a 2023 new release. And I think this is called Read Your Shit, a year-long challenge or something like that. I'll put it on the screen here. If you are interested in the year-long prompts, definitely go and check out Andy's channel. I will link her below, and you'll have access to her Patreon page from her page. And it's a good time. She's growing her Patreon reading group. And I cannot wait until we talk about When Gracie Met the Grump, because yeah, that's my first 5-star read for this month. And I'm so enjoying it. But that's my spread for the year-long challenge that Books and Scribbles is doing via her Patreon page. Again, very simple and simplistic, and I can't wait to work on this on a monthly basis. So here I'm actually going to be tracking the Patreon reads. I will be doing book covers like I did in the past. So like I said, I get my colorful book covers in some of my other spreads, not necessarily in my reading corner spread, and I kind of like that, and so I think I will continue that. I'll need to size it so that I can fit which probably will be 6 books per page, and then either do a little bit of journaling or some favorite quotes. But I do want to keep this in one cohesive spread. Again, made it very simplistic, so I do have as much usable space as possible. I will track it on Post-it notes for now until I print out the book covers. And so that's our monthly Patreon read that she's hosting. But then Andy and I also have individual buddy reads. For January, we're reading V.E. Schwab's The Near Witch. And then for February, we're reading Heat Wave by TJ Klune, which is book 3 of the Extraordinaries. And both of them are really interesting so far, so I'm looking forward to finishing those. And then this is my Living Rent-Free, and this to me is my version of the book bracket. Now I know that people love doing the book brackets here on YouTube in their reading journals, where they kind of whittle down their favorite book of the month. And for me personally, That just seems incomprehensible. I cannot imagine, considering the amount of stories that I read, that I'd be able to pick one. So for 2022, these are all the stories that are still living rent-free in my head. So could I pick one out of all of these? No, I could not. They all gave me the feels in one way or another, and these are definitely something that I want to reread again. I've already reread Crescent City and Sin and Chocolate, and I do have all of these others on my Kindle. I've purchased the books so that I can reread them at any time. So this is what I plan to do here. I'll keep a listing here just because it'll help me keep focus, because I actually don't have this information anywhere else. And once I print the book jackets, then I'll put them here, and I've got tons of space. If need be, I can always tip in an extra page here if I have just tons of interesting books. And living rent-free doesn't necessarily mean it was a 5-star read for me, although there's a good chance. It just means the story and the characters were just so vibrant or so interesting or so funny or whatever that I'm going to be thinking about them for quite some time. And like I said, When Gracie Met the Grump definitely fits the bill. And you can see very simply decorated and very light colors. I do have a physical book inventory. I do not have a huge TBR. I actually don't do reading prompts or reading challenges based on books that I have on my shelves, because as of right now, I believe this is like 14 books. I don't track either the Kindle Unlimited or the purchased books on my Kindle anywhere because I don't feel a need to. I only read certain things. I don't feel the need to read outside of my comfort zone. I don't feel the need to broaden my horizon or my knowledge. I read to de-stress. And so I'm going to read particular types of books. But I did want to keep this inventory in the event that Andy's like, hey, you want to do a buddy read? And I can tell her the physical books that I have. Or if she has something else in mind, then I'll just go purchase that book. That's how I do reading prompts, because that's just what is interesting to me. So I don't have an entire, shelf upon shelf upon shelf of things I need to get through. That's just not how I treat this particular hobby. If we're talking about my coloring book hobby, well, that's a discussion all on its own. I did want to keep this cohesive. From page to page, it isn't the same thing. You can tell that I did these 2 pages at the same time because it's very similar by way of stickers. But then some of these other pages I did at different times. So long as the 2 pages that are facing each other match and it still gives me sort of that cottagecore vibe, then it's fine for me. Now, I have not done my monthlies. My monthlies I will be doing on a monthly basis, probably in the following month. I might actually do January with you guys. And I don't know how many pages I'll devote. In the previous year, I did a 2-page spread, but there's already 2, there's one book, When Gracie Met the Grump, and then a book series that I am currently reading that I really enjoy, and I may actually want to devote some pages to that. So we'll see. Since I have a ton of blank pages, I'm just going to make it whatever I want it to be, and I do want to keep this up on a monthly basis just so that it's not like my 2022 or towards the ending of the year I was playing catch up. Yeah, I still need to write that there. But that is my 2023 reading journal. I did decide, and most of these things I'll do it this way, where I'm going to set up and have the fun or the aggravation on my own. And then I'll do a flip through with you guys just to show you how it looks in the beginning, and then maybe do periodic flip throughs with you guys just to see how it's going. This definitely is less of a stats tracker thing and more of a creative journal that just has some data that I want to keep over time. I'd love to know what you guys think. Definitely let me know in the comment section below. And as always, aloha.